Last Friday, Trump signed 4 executive orders declaring his intention to usher in an American nuclear renaissance. The goal? Jump from today's 100 gigawatts of nuclear capacity to 400 gigawatts by 2050. To put that in perspective, that's like building 300 new nuclear reactors when we've only managed to complete 2 in the past 40 years. Here's why this matters to you. Every time you ask ChatGPT a question or generate an AI image, you're tapping into massive data centers that consume electricity like small cities. A single 100 megawatt data center uses as much power as 100,000 homes. And according to new reports, AI is about to drive data center electricity demand to double by 2030. That's roughly equivalent to adding another Japan's worth of electricity consumption to the global grid. The tech industry is scrambling for solutions. Microsoft signed a deal to restart 3 Mile Island, yes, the site of America's worst nuclear accident. Google's contracting with small nuclear reactor companies. Amazon's going all in on nuclear power for its data centers. They're not doing this for environmental brownie points. They need reliable, round-the-clock power that wind and solar can't consistently provide. But here's where Trump's nuclear moonshot hits reality. The centerpiece of his plan involves slashing regulatory timelines from 5 years to just 18 months. He wants to deploy a demonstration reactor before his term ends in 2029. The Defense Production Act is being invoked to declare a national emergency over our dependence on Russian and Chinese nuclear fuel. Nuclear stocks surged on the news. Constellation Energy, Oklo, uranium miners, all posting gains as investors bet on this nuclear future. Interior Secretary Doug Burgum called it a huge day for the nuclear industry, arguing we've choked it with overregulation. Yet if you want to understand the real challenge here, you need to look at what just happened in Georgia. Plant Vogtle's 2 new reactors finally came online after being 7 years late and $17 billion over budget. When you add what Westinghouse paid to walk away from the project, the total cost approaches $35 billion. Think about that. $35 billion for just 2 reactors. Georgia Electric customers are now paying what critics call the most expensive electricity in the world at over $10,000 per kilowatt, compared to under $1,500 for wind, solar, or natural gas. Monthly bills are jumping by $35 on average, more than double what the power company initially promised. The problems at Vogtle read like a comedy of errors if they weren't so expensive. Work began with incomplete designs. Test failure rates hit 80% at times, meaning components didn't work and needed fixing. Workers quit for other jobs. COVID caused massive absenteeism. Experienced nuclear workers were in such short supply that productivity plummeted. This is the reality Trump's orders are trying to overcome. The U.S. currently has 93 operating reactors at 54 plants, averaging 42 years old. We built about 100 gigawatts of nuclear capacity during a construction boom in the 1970s, peaking at over 10 gigawatts added in 1974 alone. But that was a different era, before 3 Mile Island, before Chernobyl, before costs spiraled out of control. Edwin Lyman from the Union of Concerned Scientists wrote that Trump's approach would undermine the regulatory stability that investors actually need. Even nuclear advocates acknowledge the challenges. The Nuclear Energy Institute admits that even if everything goes according to plan, it won't be enough to meet rising energy needs. So we're left with this tension. On one side, you have AI companies desperately needing massive amounts of reliable power. Goldman Sachs projects data centers will drive more than 20% of electricity demand in advanced economies by 2030. The International Energy Agency says data center electricity consumption will reach 945 terawatt-hours by 2030. On the other side, you have a nuclear industry that hasn't successfully scaled in decades. The economics are brutal. Natural gas and renewables are simply cheaper in most cases. Countries that want nuclear power are finding it takes longer and costs more than almost any projection. What's different this time? Maybe it's the sheer scale of demand from AI. Maybe it's new reactor designs like small modular reactors that promise to be cheaper and faster to build. Maybe it's the bipartisan support nuclear enjoys, rare in today's politics. Or maybe it's the recognition that renewables alone can't provide the always-on power that data centers require. Here's what I think, and I'm curious what you think. The collision between AI's hunger for electricity and America's aging power infrastructure is forcing decisions we've avoided for decades. Trump's nuclear orders represent one vision for solving this. Whether it's the right one depends on whether we can build nuclear plants without repeating Vogel's mistakes. The stakes couldn't be higher. Without massive new power generation, America risks falling behind in the AI race. But pouring billions into nuclear plants that arrive late and over budget could be an equally costly mistake. This isn't just about technology or economics. It's about the future we're building. Will nuclear power finally have its long-promised renaissance, or are we setting ourselves up for another expensive disappointment? Sources for this story include reporting from CBS News, Fox News, the International Energy Agency's analysis of data center power consumption, Goldman Sachs research on AI electricity demand, and extensive documentation of the Vogtle nuclear plant's cost overruns from Georgia Public Broadcasting and various energy watchdog groups.